Hello everybody, Kelly Rice here, but I write under my pen name KM Rice. And welcome to my author vlog. As you can see, I'm in a different location again, and that is because there have been big changes happening in my room. I've been switching things around a lot, and I'm also having the same issue that I've had before with the sunlight this time of year just sort of like beaming in and blinding me into an alien when I film. So, yeah, that's why I'm in a different location. But hopefully you won't mind. It's the content that matters, right? Not the presentation. Though I'm hoping this presentation is still okay. Alright. Today, I would like to discuss something near and dear to my heart and near and dear to a lot of your hearts, because I know a lot of my viewers are my fellow authors and writers. And that is, how can you help an independent author? To begin with, I'll give you a little outline on, a little background on what an independent author is. It's very simple. An independent author is simply someone who, like myself, is not with a traditional publisher. You could either be with a small independent press on a book-by-book or project-by-project basis, or you can be your own publishing house, which is what I am, though I don't know if I would be called a publishing house, but I am my own publisher. Or you could be self-publishing, which is basically the same as being your own publisher, using one of the many services available to you these days as an independent author out there. There's Ingram Spark, there's CreateSpace, which is now merged with Kindle Direct, but that's just a technicality. Amazon, it's basically Amazon. And Lulu, there's a lot of different book printing companies out there that you can use. And that's actually making me think I should do a video that's kind of giving you an overview of that world. There's probably other people out there who are doing it too, but anyway. So that's me. I'm an independent author, and there's a lot of us out there. More and more and more of us, because the playing field has been leveled in the publishing world. It's increasingly difficult to get your work traditionally published, and the benefits of getting traditionally published are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's why a lot of people, even people who are with traditional publishing houses, also want to include in their contracts that they can independently publish certain works. For example, if you have an agent to help you sell, let's say romance, your category romance stories, that's awesome. But then maybe you get really interested in writing something more in the horror genre. Well, 9 times out of 10, maybe even 100% of the time, that agent's going to tell you, I'm sorry, I can't touch that. I don't know how to sell it. I don't know how to deal with that because that's not my area of expertise. That's not my market. And then what do? You can't go and get another agent. Well, you have a previous agent. So, that's why a lot of people want in their deals that they can then self-publish works like that. Like, okay, well, then I'll go out and do it on my own. And when you're with a traditional publisher, unless you're one of the really big names, or unless they decide, we believe in your book so much that we're going to take a huge gamble on it, you're going to be in charge of all of your own marketing. They might give you a small budget. They might, usually don't. If they do, I think it's around like $1,500, which isn't much. And you're expected to do things like what I'm doing right now, which is produce content on various platforms to get some recognition of your brand name, which is probably your pen name or whatever, you know, associated with whatever genre you're writing in. And so that's why the differences between traditional publishing and independent publishing have been getting more and more narrow, and why more people are just thinking, well, I'm going to try this on my own. So that's what an independent author is. Now, to be an independent author, I don't want to say the downside, but the side that means that you're going to be doing way more work is, again, I'm going to use myself as an example because I know what I'm doing. I don't always know what other people in the industry are doing. But I have had to learn graphic design skills. Luckily, I already had video editing skills and the ability to sit and be in front of a camera like this because I've been making videos since I was 12, well before YouTube ever existed. I've also had to design or develop my artistic skills, which again, luckily that was something early in life that I started working on and developing on my own. So I'm lucky that way. The ability to relax while you're being photographed, and again, I'm fortunate that way. My sister is a professional photographer. She takes almost all of my pictures, and like my author photos, and again, that's great because I can be totally relaxed and comfortable with my sister. So those pictures turn out less like, and hopefully a little bit more natural because she knows how to make me laugh and make me calm down. So that's just a little bit in my repertoire. I also have to learn the business side of things. I also have to learn marketing strategies. I also have to learn a lot of different software to format the books, to upload the books. Again, that's kind of entrenched in all of this. Like when I'm saying you have to be graphic designer, this, that, behind that is all the software that you also have to be adept with. So basically, you are your own publishing house, you are your own team. You're also doing public outreach, trying to coordinate events, trying to, and this is the part that to me is the most awkward. Reach out to like local or maybe not even so local publications, podcasts, stuff like that and be like, hi, can I be a guest? Or can I go to your con? It feels weird because you're doing it for yourself and it's like, you never want to be like, I think I'm so great, I should be there. But you gotta do what you gotta do. And some people would probably say that if you don't think you're so great, why would anyone else think you're so great? Right? You gotta love yourself on some level. Don't know if I necessarily do as an author. That's why I have a pen name. That's why I don't write under Kelly Rice. I write under KM Rice. That chick, like, she's got her own thing going on, and there's this weird mental divide where if, like, KM Rice is off doing her thing, that's cool. But that's different than me. I don't put my, like, right now I feel like I'm being more KM Rice than I am Kelly. There's definitely a big crossover between the two, but I don't know, it's strange. It's kind of like acting. I learned this very early on, that when I was pitching, back when I was doing way more screenwriting, that when I was pitching, the only way I could do it without being terrified all the time, it's the reading and having a quiver in my voice, was to adapt a persona. And I looked to Batman, and I thought of Bruce Wayne. And I thought of how Bruce Wayne had 3 different personas. There was Batman, there was Bruce Wayne the Playboy, and then there was whoever he really was. And he had to put on those masks and those personas to protect the vulnerable part of him inside that he didn't want to go out into the world. So that's what I've tried to do with my pen name. And psychologically, it's a strange thing that happens. And I forget where I was going with all of this. That's right. If it's KM Rice asking for these things, or letting people know that she exists, that's a little bit more palatable to me than me myself being like, can I have a reading here? Yeah, I'm not cool. Can I have a reading here? But you know, at some point in life, you've just got to take those risks. The worst people are going to say is no. Hopefully they won't fling insults at you and chase you out the door with a broom. You never know. I haven't had that happen yet. If it does, you guys will be the first to know about it because it'll be a freaking awesome story. And I actually kind of hope that happens to me now. But, moving on. So those are some of the trials an independent author faces. And so in the spirit of what can you do to help people like me? And again, I'm doing this KM Rice thing rather than this Kelly thing. There are several actions that you can take. Now, my idea for filming this came from over the years, ever since I've had my first book come out, which was back in 2013 with the release of Darkling. I, every once in a while, will get, I guess I'll call them fan letters, like emails from people who are just raving about my work. And they're like, I love this, it touched me, I feel like you're the only person who understands me, or I got so much out of this, this changed my life, you know, and that is just like, I should probably print them out as posters and put them on my ceiling, because that's why, one of the reasons why I write, is to connect with people on that level, because that's happened to me so many times with reading books and even with watching films to an extent. And to know that I can then also generate that and put it out into the world and touch people's lives and their hearts and their souls is one of the most rewarding experiences you can ever have as a living being on this planet. But when those people are sending me these kind of gushing, excited letters, or even telling it to me, you know, in person, they're like, I'm going to tell all my friends to buy your book, or maybe they don't even offer something like that. And so here's my note to those people. My note to those people who feel like they read something and it really touched them and it really moved them. Especially if this person is with an independent press or if they are an indie themselves, it's a really good idea to take the next step and do what you can, because you actually as a reader are very influential. That's something that I feel like the traditional publishing world does not emphasize as much. But independent authors know that their readers are their bread and butter. So that's a freaking weird expression, your bread and butter. Like, it's supposed to mean like what you live off of, but who actually lives off of bread and butter? French people? Anyway, I live off like milk and peanut butter. Oh, there you go, butter. So for those people who give me these enthusiastic letters, I love it, but at the same time I feel like, God, I wish I could channel that enthusiasm and that love and that passion into, I wish that it was, you know, obviously it's being projected out into the universe, and maybe they are going to recommend it to their friends. But it would also be nice if they took a small bit of action on their part, because as I was saying, readers are actually incredibly powerful. We do this for you, okay? So the next steps that you can take when the next time you fall in love with a book is leave a review. And not just one review. If you leave a review on Amazon, that's incredibly helpful, because the more reviews a book has on Amazon, the more likely it is to recommend it to other potential customers. And obviously, it's not rocket science. The more potential customers who see a product, the more potential sales. So you're helping that book reach a wider audience, and you're also helping that author get more money, you know, support their art, support their career, support their endeavor. You can also leave reviews on Goodreads, because that's, if you don't know what Goodreads is, it's basically a social media platform for book lovers. It used to be its own company. I believe it's now owned by Amazon. But if you put a review on Amazon, it's not automatically going to be put up on Goodreads. So those are two places that it's really nice to leave book reviews. I think there are probably more. If you have a blog, write a post about it. Do a video. That's becoming really popular now, is to do video reviews about books and films and post it to your channel. People like me will then share that content. Like there's another independent author, Dana G, who has done 1 or 2 videos talking about my stuff, and I'm always really happy to share that. And that benefits both of us. I get to be like, wow, look, this person thought these nice things about my book, or this is how it affected her. And for her, it's a little bit more exposure to her videos, and more people can be like, well, okay, who is she? And oh, she writes too, let me check out her stuff. So it's reciprocal. If you guys have followed my vlog, you know that I'm all about community. I don't think that writing is a competition. Some people treat this business as a competition. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. There is no finite number of stories and no finite number of readers. It's not like we're trying to sell you vacuum cleaners and that once you have a vacuum cleaner, you don't need another vacuum cleaner. I mean, people who read like to read, and they usually have stacks of books. If you're anything like me, ooh, I just went out of focus. Sorry. If you're anything like me, I've got like 10 books on my nightstand right now and 1 graphic novel. So I just kind of go, what do I feel like tonight? And I shift through, and because I'm old now, I like read 2 pages and fall asleep. It's really sad. I don't get through as many books as I used to. But reviews are probably one of the biggest ways that you can help an author, and it doesn't have to be long. And it doesn't have to be detailed. It could be as simple as 4 or 5 stars. Even 3 is helpful. And I liked this book, or I would recommend this book to people who like blah blah blah, or it reminded me of this and that, or this is what I got out of it, or I peed my pants, like whatever, you know? Just post a little something, and that will help an independent author. And any author, but definitely an independent author who again doesn't have a lot of support. They're usually, like me, I'm a one-woman show. I wish I had a manager. I think that my life would be a lot easier in some ways, and I'd have a lot more peace of mind if I had a manager, but I don't. I'm my own manager right now, and sometimes that's worse because, like, you should hear the things I say to myself when I feel like I'm not producing. But we won't go into that dark place right now. So reviews are a big boon to authors. And like I said, also sharing your thoughts about it on all of your platforms. So that also includes social media. But again, the best way to go about this is linking back to wherever you got the book. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I just read this book and it was great, you can check it out here and put up a link to a place to buy the book. Otherwise, it's like, wow, good for you, you liked that. And there's nothing, you know, even if I'm curious and I'm scrolling through my news feed, when I see that someone's raving about something, if they don't have like a picture of the cover or a link to where you can read the first 3 chapters or whatever, then I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if I'm gonna click because people are lazy, and that means opening up a new window in Amazon and typing in the title and going back and forth, and do I have it right? I don't know. Oh, it's spelled weird. And you know, most people will not take that effort. So links are definitely necessary if you're trying to help that author get a little bit of traffic and a little bit of exposure, and every little bit helps. So please never, again, like I said, you are the readers, you have the power. Is that She-Ra? Does anyone else out there remember She-Ra? Was she like, I have the power, or was that He-Man? See, we didn't really have much TV when I was really small, but these things were out there in the world, and I kind of knew what She-Ra was. I had a She-Ra book and a doll. My brother had like He-Man, and I just remember there was something like, I have the power. I'm sure it's only a matter of time until they each get their own film, especially now that Wonder Woman was such a success. But yes, you have the power. So like Galadriel says to Frodo, even the smallest person can change the course of the future. And know that your words, your star rating, your posts, your influence, even if they bring one more person to that author, even if one more person just has kind of a buzzing in their brain, a curiosity about it, that all helps. Too often I think people are like, wow, yeah, I really liked that, so I'm just gonna go and read the next thing, or I'm just gonna go on because, you know, like, it will take me a small bit of effort to leave this review or star rating or whatever, and they probably don't need my help, and who am I? I'm no expert, you know, what can I say anyway? But that's where you're wrong. You're flat out wrong. If you read a book and you enjoyed it, please do consider reviewing it and sharing a little bit of information about it. Again, especially if it comes from an independent author, because we are dependent upon the public to help us spread the word. There are a lot of us out there, and there are some books that, you know, are subpar and maybe were just put out really quickly by people and aren't, you know, okay, basically, to rise above the fact that almost everyone can put out a book these days, and this is why self-publishing had a bad reputation for a long time, reviews are a way of vetting books. So again, if you're enjoying them, you're helping them rise out of the slush pile and get more attention. Which brings me to the dark flip side. If you don't enjoy a book, and this is where this vlog episode is going to get controversial. If you don't enjoy a book, if you hated it, maybe say nothing. Because unless you have a deep personal grievance with the author or with the subject matter, leaving a negative review is potentially harming someone's livelihood and someone's career. And for something as subjective as fiction and stories, this is where I get baffled. I'm like, is it worth it? I've read a lot of books, a lot of classics that I have not liked. And like, I don't like Steinbeck. I'm not too into Hemingway. I try not to bash them because, like I said, reading and storytelling, it's all completely subjective. And just because I'm not in their target audience, just because I don't truly appreciate what they do, like Jane Austen, I really like the themes and the style and the restraint and the era of Jane Austen books. But I listened to Pride and Prejudice on tape, and at the end I was like, please I'll blow up, please I'll blow up, please I'll blow up. Not because I hated the characters or anything, just because I found it boring, because at that period in my life I could not tolerate a book in which so little happened. It was all about social maneuverings and stuff. And it wasn't for me at that time. But I see the impact it's had. I see, you know, the love that other people have for it. The same goes with other stories that maybe aren't classics, but that I've come across and I'm like, look, maybe it's just totally not for me. And I could be like, I don't even get what you're doing here, man. Like, I just don't get it. I'm either too white or too, like, from the female point of view, or too, I don't know, not experimental enough. And it's like, I understand that you're doing something. It's just not, I'm not the audience to appreciate it, and that is okay. It took me a long time to realize that, like people, you don't have to be friends with everyone. You need to be polite and civil, but you don't have to be friends with everyone you meet, or just because the other person wants to be your friend. So similarly, there are books that you don't have to read, even if you bought it, even if you asked for it for Christmas, even if it was given to you as a gift by someone who means a lot to you. If you're starting to read it and you're like, oh, I just can't get into this, I just don't like it, it's actually 100% okay to close it and not come back to it. And I'm in my 30s now, and I'm telling you, it took me a long time to learn this because I felt like every book was an obligation. But it took me until getting to this older age to be like, time is precious. Don't waste it on a book that you're not into. If you have to read it for book club or something, that's a different matter. But when it's just something that you're reading for fun, it should be something that speaks to you and engages with you. And the reason I'm telling you to put it down is because there's likely something else out there that will. And it'll be a more fulfilling experience for you. You just simply weren't the target audience for the book that you maybe thought you were going to like. And in those situations, that's where I kind of can't fathom, and I think that's because I've only ever come at it from the side of someone who also writes. I've never just been a reader, because I wrote my first book in kindergarten, which I should read to you guys sometime. I recently found it when I was going through stuff in my room. I can't fathom being so upset by it that you would be like, well, I'm just gonna go with this person's life and trash them. And I've had people before in my books sign into multiple accounts to give my books 1-star reviews. Like, that's how much they were upset by whatever it was I wrote. And I'm gonna try to do a vlog post on trolls later. And look, if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. If you think it only deserves 1 star, that's totally at your discretion. But, so I'm not trying to say that, see, again, this is why it's controversial. I'm not trying to say that if you read something, obviously the majority of people who read my stuff are like, this is solid. I want to give it 3 and above stars. But of course there are those people who are like, this is crap. This is total crap. And they're angry that they read it. And they're angry that I took their time away from them, that precious time in their life. And they feel a little bit vindictive about it. And I just feel that that's misplaced. Nobody's forcing you to sit and watch this right now. No one's forcing you to read a book. No one's forcing you to watch a movie. And that's just part of our culture that I don't get, this victimhood of entertainment where people are like, well, I'll never get those 5 minutes back. I'll never get those hours back that I invested in that book. And it's like, you're the one who chose to read it. Just like, some of the times, like, you're the one who chose to be in that relationship. You're the one who chose whatever. And I suppose it's kind of my overall message in this whole episode, right? Is that you are empowered. As a reader, as an individual, just as a human being, you are a choice maker. Like, we're getting deep here now. I don't know why, but we're getting deep. But you are autonomous, and you have agency, and you are in control of a lot more in your life than you give yourself credit for. There's a lot that we can't change. And actually, if we're going to get really philosophical, we can't control anything either. But you can make decisions, and you can make choices, and you do have influence in the world. Okay? Just remember that. Both as a reader, and as a writer, and just as a human being. So, again, I don't get it when people feel the need to mess with other people's livelihoods when it is something so inconsequential and subjective as entertainment. I think that the whole vetting process is important. If someone puts out a book and it's just full of typos and it's not even like coherent, then yeah, people should be warned about that. But in most other industries, if it's like a surgeon and it's like he's routinely killing people, yeah, others should know about it. But when it's something as subjective as entertainment that actually has no true bearing on anyone's health, safety, stability, the only thing that it's going to affect is the author's income. You know, when it comes to art, that's where I think it gets a little weird. So I'm not arguing against leaving negative reviews for people. I'm just, as a whole in our culture, arguing against this kind of cult of victimhood over entertainment, when it's like, well, you're the one who chose to go see it or read it or do it. And if it didn't live up to your expectations, then I'm sorry. But maybe reassess your expectations, or where those came from, or where those impressions came from, or just accept that you weren't the target audience, which to me is very simple and easy to do, but for other people it seems to be a big hurdle. So I'm not against leaving negative reviews. I just mean to say that when you are dealing with, especially indies, think twice about it, because this is directly affecting another person. And like I said, like unless you like really viscerally, like you felt like this just destroyed part of your life, don't understand why you would then interject that negativity towards someone else. I'm running out of battery. This has gone on way longer than I intended. So I'm gonna wrap it up. And again, in review, share. And if there are people like me who you like the other content that they create too, consider supporting them on platforms such as Patreon, which you can do for me. And for $5 a month, you get a dose of monthly madness. And for $10, you get whatever I'm currently working on or other pieces of mine. And for $1 a month, you can support this author vlog. So for me, and this is Mummy Pig from Peppa Pig. My sister bought me like a chocolate egg and I thought it was going to have Peppa in it, but instead it had Mummy. But that's okay. So for me and Mummy Pig, I hope this has been informative for you, and I wish you all a very fond farewell.